Do you ever stop and think about the food that's in your plate or the food that's in your hand? So this topic is inspired by a business meeting that I recently had where I was observing the person as they ate, and there was so much disparity between them and their food that it inspired me to make this video, because it reminded me of myself when I was a little younger, when I unconsciously used to just wolf food down without even thinking about it, without even looking at it, without even smelling it, without even sensing it. And really, I think it caused a lot of issues down the track with my relationship with food and how it was processing in my body. So the digestive process starts when food is sitting right in front of you, when food is in your hand, when you can smell it. The juices, the digestive juices that actually digest all the foods, all the enzymes and all the hydrochloric acid and all the stuff that's actually going to break down all the food that you're eating, is starting from when you first visually conceptualize the food in your mind and your body kind of knows that the food is coming. So all the senses, all the receptive senses that you're experiencing before the food actually goes into your mouth is triggering all that digestive process. And if you're consciously not even aware of what you're doing and you're literally just grabbing and shoving the food down and then straight up and you're off to doing something else, you're not giving it any time for your system to actually recognize what's actually gone on. And this is so important in the whole process of digestion. So, I've been exploring health and the body and the digestive process a lot lately because it's such a fundamental pillar of health. And it has come and stemmed from my own experiences with health issues and my own experiences with dealing with clients that also have problems with their health. So I just want to bring some light or attention to the next time you eat, to actually sit there, look at the food for like 10 seconds, just have some level of appreciation or gratitude for the food, where it came from, and how it's going to nourish your system. I think that's going to aid and help with the digestive process a whole heap. It's going to get things going within your body, and it's going to make you feel a lot better as well while you're eating the food and after you're eating the food. And it's going to stop you from overeating, which is a whole nother topic, but is something that also really hinders our performance on a day-to-day basis and hinders our digestion as well. So as I said, I used to be a really unconscious eater. I used to wolf food down and not think about it. But now I see it as an interaction, in a sense, with the external world and my internal world, where I'm actually physically putting something external and putting it internally into my body. So I'm very careful with what I eat, when I eat it, and how I eat it, and how I think about the food when I'm actually eating it, because I've never felt better when I've started doing this, and my relationship with food has never been better when I started incorporating all these things. And a lot of these habits are really so deeply enriched within us that it takes time to break, and you'll unconsciously follow patterns of how you previously used to eat. Like if you're hungry and there's food in front of you, you won't even remember eating it, and then you'll sit there with an empty plate like, oh yeah, the food's gone. And that's how I used to be. I'd finish at the gym, I'd come home, I'd be so hungry and I'd be absolutely ravenous that I'd eat all this food really quickly, and I wouldn't even remember half or 3/4 of the experience of actually eating all that food. So slowing down, having appreciation and some gratitude for what you're eating, looking at your food, smelling your food, and then eating slowly there's quite a few different things that I use to actually improve my digestion, or have a sort of a small process that's very informal. So I like to unplug a couple of minutes before I actually start eating my food. And that means just putting my body in a state where it's not overly stimulated or overly stressed, or not, driving my car through traffic while I'm eating something, or I'm not, in a deep discussion of something that's highly emotional while I'm eating. So I'm actually eating and I've unplugged and I've chilled for a few minutes, and then I'll slowly start eating. And I'll eat slowly, and I'll look at my food and I'll consciously take a bite and chew. I'll chew my food properly. That was one thing that I was never doing as well. I was never chewing my food properly. So I think a good amount of time to chew is probably about 20 chews per swallow. So chew your food about 20 times before you swallow it, and then wait a second before you grab your next forkful. It's gonna allow your body to recognize what's going in. It's gonna allow you to feel satiated and have control of how much food you actually need, because it takes about 15 to 20 minutes for your body to actually recognize how full it is. So if you're just eating all this food really quickly, you won't actually know how full you are until 15 minutes after you stop. But if you eat slowly and you chew your food properly, you have a lot of a better idea of how much food you actually need. Another one is, I used to obviously do a lot of bodybuilding, so I used to wolf down things like chicken breast, and sometimes it used to be quite dry, so I used to just chug water. I used to do a spoonful of chicken breast, chug water, a spoonful of chicken breast, chug water. And I don't think there's anything wrong with sipping water or having a little bit of water or fluid while you're eating a meal, but like chugging water, I think that's just gonna, if anything, I feel that it's going to not be helpful for my digestion, because it's almost diluting my stomach juices. So if I'm pumping heaps of water in there, all the stomach acid and enzymes that I needed to actually digest my food are being diluted in a sense. So I try to limit how much water I actually have with my meal, and that also goes maybe 15 minutes before I won't scull water, and 15 minutes after I won't scull water. So, but between meals I'll have heaps and heaps of fluids. Another one is, eat when you're hungry. Don't just eat for the sake of eating. I think that's a really common error where a lot of people fall into, especially like younger people that want to get massive and get on all the gains that they can, and they think they need to eat every 90 minutes. I don't think you need to eat every 90 minutes to get the most out of your gains. I think if anything, your digestion is going to be more fucked up, and you're not going to be able to process the right amount of bioavailable macro and micronutrients that your body actually needs to build the muscle or lose the fat if you're eating every 90 minutes rather than if you're eating when you're hungry or checking in of when you want to eat. I probably eat every 3 hours or so, or 3.5 hours, and I find myself getting quite hungry. On the days I train, I could probably eat every 2.5, 3 hours. On the days I don't train, I could probably eat every 4.5 hours or something. And another one that I want to tie it back to, after you eat, sit there for a few minutes and have gratitude for what you just did and what you just ate. And I think that's a great way of actually being conscious about the food choices you're making and how you've just eaten the food, and giving your time to actually be in that rest, digest mode, rather than being in a fight and flight kind of constant, highly stressed, highly strung kind of environment or feeling. So you want your nervous system to be more in a fight or flight, more in a rest and digest kind of stage. And it's going to help so much with your performance on a day-to-day basis, and you're going to feel way better. But remember, the habits are going to be hard to break. So even these small micro habits, as sitting there and actually having great gratitude for your food and eating slowly and chewing, these are micro habits that are hard to break, and it's taken me ages to actually break them to the point where I don't do the negative habits every time, because you will slowly integrate the better eating habits, but it will take time and it's a slow process. But if you keep chipping away at it and you're aware of what you're doing, you're going to feel so much better, and you're going to be able to digest your food better and have a heap of better physical and mental and cognitive performance. And that's just from my own perspective and opinion. And I've looked into digestive health a lot, and there's heaps of things that I do want to cover in the future, and I will be covering in the future, from my own personal experience with myself and clients. And yeah, so slow down when you eat and think about your food when you eat, and don't wolf it down, and your body and your mind and everything else is going to thank you for it. Have a good one.